Good morning, everyone. It's Monday, July 19th, coming to you live from Seoul. I'm Kim Mo-gyeon. Before we begin, these are the stories we're following at the top of the hour. South Korea continues to report more than 1,000 cases for nearly 2 weeks. Authorities are now imposing a nationwide ban on gatherings of more than 4 people. Concerns continue ahead of the Tokyo Olympics as Sunday marked the 5th consecutive day that daily COVID-19 cases exceeded 1,000 in the capital, and as 2 athletes at the Olympic Village tested positive for the virus on Sunday. And a study by a former IAEA official estimates there are over 500 kilograms of highly enriched uranium in North Korea. However, it suggests the regime may have far fewer nuclear warheads than suggested by an earlier report. We begin with the COVID-19 situation in South Korea as the nation reported 1,252 new cases Monday, still staying above the 1,200 mark, even though fewer tests are usually taken over the weekend. Of Monday's cases, all but 44 were locally transmitted. 1 more patient has died, bringing the death toll to 2,058. To curb the spread of the virus, health authorities have decided to expand the ban on gatherings of more than 4 people to the whole of the country. Meanwhile, more than 6.5 million people have been fully vaccinated. As feared by many, the majority of the crew on board the South Korean Navy's Cheonghae Unit in waters of Africa have tested positive for the COVID-19 a matter of days after the first cases were reported. Seoul's South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said Monday that 247 out of the 301 crew members have the virus. 50 tested negative. The results of 4 could not be confirmed. All of the crew are expected to return to Korea late Tuesday. South Korea's high school teachers and seniors will start to receive their COVID-19 vaccines starting today. Now, this comes as the nation's college entrance exam is scheduled for November, and these students and also any other test takers will need to attend classes and be able to take this exam safely. For more on this, we have our Kim Do-yeon at one of the nation's vaccination centers today. Do-yeon.
Mo-gyeon, I'm at a vaccination center in Nowon-gu District. And about an hour ago, as you can see behind me, high school seniors and teachers started getting their COVID-19 vaccines. This center will inoculate around 640 teachers and students from 2 schools nearby. On a national scale, there are a total of 650,000 eligible recipients in this group, and it'll go on until the 30th of this month. This comes as the students prepare for the National College Entrance Exam coming up in November. Being vaccinated will allow them to get ready for the exam by going to school every day or attending tutoring sessions, and more than 95% of those eligible have signed up for the shots, which shows how motivated the teachers, students, and parents are for a successful exam. As many of the high school seniors or students that are graduating early are minors, parental consent was also a requirement.
As we are shooting for the full opening of schools in the second semester, for a safer learning environment, I thought not only just the high school seniors, but also all the teachers should get the vaccines.
Now, Do-yeon, it seems like they really need their vaccines to safely study and take this important exam. Now, what about the nation's inoculation drive overall? More people will be signing up starting tomorrow, right?
Mo-gyeon, that's right. The inoculation process has been continuing at a steady pace. Behind me are not just the students and teachers of high school, but also other eligible groups that are up for the shots. In fact, the center has 1,100 doses for today, and more than 400 are for other groups like the military or those receiving second doses as well. So far, more than 31% of the nation has received at least the first dose. Next up for reservation, 50 to 54-year-olds can start to book their reservations today, taking turns by the age until the 24th. That's all I have for you at this hour. Back to you, Mo-gyeon.
Thank you, Do-yeon. Do keep us updated. Now, the ruling Democratic Party and the government have agreed on the need to increase financial support for small to mid-sized businesses in the second supplementary budget during their high-level meeting Monday. The ruling party leader Song Young-gil emphasized that additional compensation for the damage COVID-19 has caused to businesses is unavoidable. He also expressed the need to come up with ways to help medical personnel fight the virus amid the scorching heat by, for example, providing enough manpower and rest facilities. Prime Minister Kim Boo-kyum agreed that they must proactively seek ways to compensate for losses and increase the recovery fund. He said that not only will they increase financial support for businesses in the supplementary budget, but also in the next year's budget. With the Tokyo Olympics less than a week away, Sunday marked the 5th consecutive day that daily COVID-19 cases in the Japanese capital exceeded 1,000. Concerns are also mounting as 2 athletes at the Olympic Village have contracted the virus. Kim Hyo-sun tells us more.
Tokyo's daily COVID-19 tally surpassed the 1,000 mark for the 5th straight day on Sunday, with 1,008 new cases reported. Although this was a drop of over 400 cases from the day before, the figure is up nearly 400 on week. Concerns are mounting, especially as the Tokyo Olympics are drawing ever closer. The city is currently under its 4th state of emergency, which lasts until August 22nd to cover the duration of the Games. Against this backdrop, a new survey shows Japanese people are increasingly concerned about the rebound in cases. According to a poll conducted by Kyodo News Agency, 87% of respondents said they fear a possible surge, with only 30% of them saying the 4th state of emergency imposed across Tokyo is effective. Their concerns became reality with 2 South African footballers testing positive for the virus on Sunday after arriving at the Olympic Village. The South African Football Association explained that the entire team is under quarantine until they are cleared for training. The organizing committee says COVID-19 infections are inevitable, but vowed to keep the situation under control.
Even with all measures fully taken, there will be some positive cases. Under the COVID-19 situation, which encompasses the entire world, so it is inevitable that there will be cases. What is important is that when such cases arise, we properly systematically isolate them so that there will be no further transmissions.
The International Olympic Committee has confirmed that Yoo Seung-min, a South Korean member of the committee, also contracted the virus on Saturday at the city's airport. Organizers also explained that 55 people linked to the Olympics have tested positive since July 1st, including athletes and officials who have been arriving in Tokyo for training camps. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
A senior diplomat at the Japanese embassy in Seoul is likely to be replaced due to his controversial remarks made about President Moon Jae-in last week. Japan's Yomiuri Shimbun said Monday that Tokyo plans to replace Deputy Chief of Mission Hirohisa Soma later this week. Now, this comes after Soma reportedly made sexually inappropriate comments about President Moon during a lunch meeting with a reporter from a Korean TV broadcaster. A senior Japanese government official has reportedly said such remarks shouldn't have been made by a diplomat. A study by a former IAEA official estimates there are over 500 kilograms of highly enriched uranium in North Korea. However, it suggests the regime may have far fewer nuclear warheads than suggested by an earlier report by the Iran Corporation. Yoon Jung-min reports.
North Korea could have produced close to 540 kilograms of highly enriched uranium at the Yeongbyeon facility up to the end of 2020. That's according to former IAEA official Olli Heinonen in a piece for the U.S.-based North Korea monitoring group 38 North on Friday. It is estimated that the regime could produce 20 to 27 nuclear warheads, given that it requires around 20 to 27 kilograms of highly enriched uranium to produce a nuclear warhead. The report added the North is capable of providing 150 to 160 kilograms of highly enriched uranium annually. There is some difference when compared to an earlier report by Asan Institute for Policy Studies and the RAND Corporation, which says the regime possessed up to 116 nuclear weapons in 2020 and may have as many as 252 nuclear warheads by 2027. The report assumes 3 large uranium enrichment plants outside of Yeongbyeon, including one in Gangsan, but Hainunen says a recent study of the Gangsan facility shows it does not have the features necessary for full-scale production. The nuclear expert added shutdown and dismantlement of the Yeongbyeon facilities would be an important part of a denuclearization process, as reportedly offered by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at the Hanoi summit in 2019. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
OPEC and its non-OPEC partners have agreed to begin pumping more oil from August, a move expected to ease a potential squeeze in global supplies. Under a deal reached following a dispute between the UAE and Saudi Arabia, the OPEC Plus members will increase output each month by 400,000 barrels a day. It also gives the UAE and other producers higher baselines against which their production cuts are measured. That is forecast to take effect from May next year. Now it's time to take a brief look at the economic calendar for the week ahead. South Korea will release data for economically active young people as well as its producer price index. Our Seoul reports.
On Tuesday, Statistics Korea is set to announce employment status details for young Koreans. According to its annual report, the employment rate among the young aged 15 to 29 was down near 1.5 percentage points to 42.2% in May 2020 on year. Contrarily, among the economically inactive population, the ratio of those preparing for employment reached 17%, hitting the highest since 2006 when the relevant data was first compiled. This indicates that the number of young people employed is declining, while the number of young people job hunting is rising, likely due to the pandemic-led recession. Economically inactive population refers to those who are neither employed nor unemployed who have the ability to work but are not willing to or unable to contribute to the labor supply. On Wednesday, the Bank of Korea will release the Producer Price Index, PPI, for June. The index increased for the 7th consecutive month in May, up 0.4% from the previous month. Compared to the same period last year, the figure was up near 6.5%, hitting a record high in almost a decade. The central bank attributed the rise to coal and petroleum products, which increased by just under 4.5%, mainly due to rising raw materials prices. PPI is one of the official measures of inflation, tracking the average change over time in the selling prices of goods and services received by domestic producers for their output. And since inflation is one of the factors that could slow down a nation's economic growth, observers are watching to see if Korea's PPI continues its rising trend. 서은경, Arirang News.
The Toronto Blue Jays South Korean pitcher Ryu Hyun-jin turned in an impressive 7-inning shutout on Sunday to help his team defeat the visiting Texas Rangers 5-0. Ryu threw 3 hitters and gave up a walk while striking out 4. This means Toronto won the first game of the doubleheader, opening the second half of the MLB season. Due to the pandemic, there are only 7 innings for games in doubleheaders. The 74th Cannes Film Festival, which was held in person for the first time in about 2 years, came to an end over the weekend. From director Bong Joon-ho's appearance at the opening ceremony to a couple of Korean actors joining the closing ceremony, local talent shined at the event. Lee Seung-jae reports.
On the very stage where South Korean director Bong Joon-ho announced the opening of the Cannes Film Festival, actor Song Kang-ho, who was a judge in the competition, took a seat at the closing ceremony. The veteran actor was there to announce the winner of the Best Director Award. Actor Lee Byung-hun also took to the stage as a presenter for the Best Actress Award. Lee said it was a special moment for him, taking part in one of the world's biggest film festivals, along with his countrymen Bong and Song. He also got some laughs by saying he and Spike Lee, the chairman of the jury, shared the same last name. The film Emergency Declaration, starring the two actors, was invited to the festival in the non-competitive category. After the screening, there was a 10-minute standing ovation. Director Hong Sang-soo's In Front of Your Face, which was invited to the new premiere category this year, signed export contracts with a number of countries, including the United States and the UK. And while the movie Parasite helped put South Korean movies, directors, and actors under the global spotlight, many pundits say Parasite won't be the last. As the Korean wave continues to spread around the world, the local film industry may be another scene in which Korea is set to dominate. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
The music video of K-pop boy band BTS's song Boy With Love has hit 1.3 billion views on YouTube as of Sunday. The song was released in 2019 and stayed on the Billboard's main singles chart Hot 100 for 8 straight weeks following its release. The group can now claim 2 music videos with over 1.3 billion hits on YouTube, along with DNA. Arirang TV and the Korean Management Federation co-hosted a virtual K-pop concert over the weekend featuring more than 20 artists. It had to be held virtually because of the pandemic, but it was a big hit online. Our Cheonghae has more.
More than 20 K-pop acts performed on Saturday in a concert in Seoul, hosted virtually by the Korean Management Federation and Arirang TV. It was held at the SK Olympic Handball Gymnasium at Olympic Park, featuring Brave Girls, NCT Dream, and ballad singer Kim Tae-woo in a show called Together Again K-pop Concert.
Because of COVID-19, so many concerts have been cancelled for such a long time. We decided to name the show Together Again K-pop Concert, hoping to end the COVID situation and reboot in-person concerts for K-pop fans.
But because social distancing in the Greater Seoul area is now at the highest level, the concert had to be held in a virtual format and not in person.
Originally, we wanted to hold an in-person concert, but unfortunately, we had to go virtual to keep the concert safe for fans and performers.
On site, all staff and 24 groups and solo performers had to test negative for the virus before they could go in.
지금 저희가 코로나 상황이 좀 안 좋아져가지고 여러분들을 못 만나게 돼가지고 너무 아쉽고 하루빨리 코로나 시국이 좋아져가지고 여러분들을 직접 이렇게 만나고 싶습니다.
Although the concert is over already, officials hope that K-pop fans all over the world enjoy the show and will look forward to more shows once the situation gets better. Fans can see the full video of Saturday's concert on Arirang's K-pop channel on YouTube. 최원종, Arirang News.
Welcome. It's time for The World Now, bringing you some of the most interesting news from around the globe. I'm Yeongbyeon. Chaos erupted during a Saturday night baseball game in Washington, brought on by the sound of gunfire.
We thought it was fireworks at first. A couple people started running, and then as you saw more and more people running, and then we heard more shots, that's when we realized it was real.
The Washington Nationals home game was suspended in the 6th inning with fans fleeing their seats or ducking for cover. Police later reported a shooting outside of the third base gate at Nationals Park, where at least 3 people were shot with non-life-threatening injuries. The police added that an active investigation is underway. A dramatic scene turned out to be a huge drug bust. Some 5.4 tons of cocaine worth $185 million were seized in Colombia last week by the country's Coast Guard. Colombia's naval authorities said if this illicit merchandise had arrived in the United States or Europe, very surely that would mean 16 million doses on the streets of those countries. Another vessel was intercepted by Colombia's armed forces on Sunday, and 62 packs of cocaine totaling 1.5 tons were confiscated. Despite decades of efforts to end drug trafficking, Colombia stands as one of the world's largest cocaine producers. Those of you tuning in from Shanghai may be able to look up to the starry sky at the world's largest astronomy museum. The Shanghai Astronomy Museum, covering an area of around 58,600 square meters, started embracing visitors on Sunday. The design of the curvilinear-shaped museum highlights the orbital motion of the Sun and the Earth. The museum says it hosts exhibitions and serves as a planetarium and observatory that intends to provide guests with exposure to real astronomical phenomenon.
Good morning. The intense heat we have been seeing is not showing sign of any easing up. The steamy heat will continue today with heat wave alerts across much of the country. And actually, we are going to get even hotter days from now. We have Jungbok and Taeso this week, supposed to be the middle of the hottest part of summer here in Korea. And to live up to their names, it's going to get hotter as the week goes on. It's going to reach up to 36 degrees Celsius here in the capital by the middle of the week. Meanwhile, a last round of monsoon rain is falling down south. Jeju should brace for heavy monsoon rain through tonight, while the rest of the south will see monsoon rain letting up shortly. Then we could be seeing 5 to 60 millimeters of passing rain during the day, along with thunder and lightning. And lastly, checking on today's scorching daily highs, Seoul will make it up to 33 degrees Celsius, Chuncheon topping out at 34 degrees. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that will do it for us at this hour on Arirang News. We'll be back at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
COVID-19 self-test